Hello again, time for Headline Makers. Joining us to go through some of the day's headlines, journalist and author Ella Whelan and writer and commentator Candice Holdsworth. And it's lovely to see you back.
Hi.
Candice, first of all, the amazing pictures of these floods in New York.
Yes, yeah. So these are the worst floods in years. The drains are not clearing the rainwater. And it is quite serious. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, has declared a state of emergency. However, one thing that we can say that it's not a total state of peril. The public schools are remaining open. They're telling people to get to higher ground who live in the basement flats, and the subway has been suspended. But this just keeps happening, sadly. So, you know, they're going to really have to figure this out because, I mean, what are people just every time there's heavy rainfall, there's this sort of crisis.
There was, I mean, it was something like 8 inches, though.
Yes.
Now it's a lot of rain.
Yes, yeah. Well, since Hurricane Ida, I mean, there's just been so many problems with flooding now in New York.
And the tunnels under the Hudson and everything like that, they must be flooded, mustn't they?
Yes, yeah.
That's how New Yorkers get to work.
I know. Well, exactly. They've got a whole subterranean system of living and transport, and that's in peril. But like I say, you know, like they're still keeping the schools open and stuff, so it's not a total crisis.
No.
Yeah.
There does seem to be, I mean, there was this sort of the pest problem, the rat problem in America, in New York recently, that the city infrastructure does seem... I mean, I don't even want to know what's happening with the rats and the flooding and all the rest of it at the moment, but there is some serious problems in New York sort of city infrastructure, whether it's rubbish or drains, or it all seems to be sort of... falling apart.
Yeah. Well, talking about flooded roads in New York, what about our 20-mile-an-hour zones and low-traffic neighbourhoods in the UK, Ella? It's in the Eye and the Guardian. The PM saying he's the Prime Minister for motorists.
Well, yes.
He's decided.
And you know, if the sort of Uxbridge by-election was anything to go by, which I think a lot of politicians are taking as their kind of temperature check, then the issue of restrictions on driving, whether it's ULEZ or LTNs in other parts of the country or speed limits, is something that people really care about. And I just wanted to pull out this article in The Guardian because it gives the opposite view, which is that a lot of, myself included, would be on the position of saying that LTNs are a problem, that you should have more choice by allowing people to be able to drive as well as use public transport. But a joint statement from Ramblers, Sustrans, British Cycling, Cycling UK, Living Streets and Bikeability Trust, who are all, you know, pro-cycling, pro-walking, I think it's fair to say sort of anti or at least discouraging of car use, have released this statement saying that actually that the Prime Minister's announcements will leave people feeling that they had no choice but to drive.
Oh, give over.
Yes, that was my initial reaction. But there's they sort of say that that is going to re-entrench congestion. They talk about the fact of clean air and pollution and things like that. But it's interesting that they're using the language of choice, because I think that does raise a question for the Prime Minister, which is those of us who like driving, who need to drive, you know, are welcoming these moves. But also, that doesn't mean that, a bit like your conversation with Mark Harper, you just don't do anything about public transport, or you don't do anything about cycling, or that you can just say, well, people can drive, case closed. No, you do actually still have to look at the trains and the buses.
And they're so confused on that. I mean, you know, not necessarily saying that Rishi Sunak is saying this, but the whole drive to net zero is to get people to use more public transport. But there's very poor connectivity in the north, train connectivity. So many train stations don't have accessibility. I mean, I went to a train station the other day and someone said, if you're in a wheelchair, you can't even come here. You know, and it's such a problem. You know, there's not that practical getting down to business. In terms of what Rishi Sunak wants to do with cracking down on these 20-mile-per-hour zones and traffic fines, I think there does need to be a bit of consumer protection for drivers, because I think the experience is becoming quite poor. All these things are being imposed from the top down, and no one's actually looking out for drivers who the experience is becoming miserable for them, especially when you get these fines, which are huge for very minor infractions.
Yeah, well, I would agree on that. I know 50% of you will not, because when we talk about these 20-mile-an-hour zones, it's split 50-50, actually.
Well, that's interesting.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, you think it would... Well, I would just assume you'd all agree with me.
I know.
But there you go. Yeah, there
Yes.
you go. Does your husband, Ella, have a beard?
He does. He does. He's always had a beard. And I don't know whether that's a hangover from he couldn't grow one for a very long time, so maybe he holds on to it. Sorry, Ian.
Because
there's pressure,
there's a report in the Telegraph saying that more than half of men now have facial hair.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's so generational, it's generationally split. My father always wet shaves. I've never seen him with a beard ever in my life. and he would never, and he would, I think, still think of having a beard as being a bit scruffy or not quite put together. But that's completely different for young men. They just don't see. There might be I don't think people wear the shaggy beards, but stubble, or even there's a picture in the Telegraph of Ben Affleck and George Clooney, people who are paid to look very good and put together, wearing beards as a kind of
a sharp beard.
Yeah, but it's seen as stylish. It's seen as normal, and I think it is interesting that kind of the way in which men present themselves in society has changed so dramatically. Would you ever have a beard anymore?
No, I couldn't grow one.
Right. Okay.
I would have liked to be when I was younger. I would have liked to be, but I can't grow one properly. It's just too patchy, and now is white.
Well,
I know.
Salt and pepper.
But George Clooney has
white yes, maybe. But I'll tell you what's coming back. You see, beards. We're talking about beards. That's old hat now, in a sense, because a lot of the younger, but certainly the soldiers that I know now, it's moustaches.
Oh, I like moustaches, personally.
You see, I don't, because to me, that smacks of 1970s.
Oh, it makes you think... See, it makes me think of, Clark Gable. See, that's who I think of. And he was very he was very dashing.
It's just not a look I like at all.
Oh, no, I quite like it. Like Gone with the Wind, Clark Gable.
I can't imagine kissing a man with a moustache.
Don't you?
No, it'd be all prickly.
Well, not if it's too long and kind of, there's a hygiene question, isn't there? Bits of your dinner getting stuck in.
Oh, yes.
So Ian's beard, is it a big beard or like a stubbly beard?
Just a stubbly beard. I mean, he is not particularly...
hygienic.
No, he's not. Tree surgeons don't care that much about how they look, which is a nice thing. But I think that there is an industry around beards now as well. You can buy beard oil, not just beard trimmers, but all these different kind of things, combs and things like that. I think when it gets to that level, it's often people who got a lot going on here and not much going on up there, that they get a bit obsessed with the lower regions,
But you get the razor clubs now. You can belong to the razor clubs. It's like this niche little market.
Well, there's money in it all.
Yes.
Well, I wonder what people prefer. I mean, because this is the other thing, is that what do GB News viewers prefer? Is it a sort of... Is this move towards beards fine, or is it just lazy, or do you like a clean-shaven man? See, I do like clean-shaven men, and the one time that Ian he's going to kill me for this, he ever did it, he looked about 10 years younger, and we both went, oh, I'm not sure about that.
But when someone takes off their beard, they look so different. I remember when my dad first shaved his beard, and as kids, we just wanted him to grow it back instantly because we didn't recognise him without his beard.
I like the clean-shaven look.
And a lot of people say that, how as you get older, particularly if you're a woman, you get sort of turkey neck. When men get older, they can grow a beard which defines their chin line. So they still got a good sort of chin line,
isn't it?
Which a lot of women lose.
I mean, we grow beards too, but we're expected to pluck them out.
Meant to electrolyse them or whatever it is, aren't you? There you go, let them grow.
Very attractive.
That's what I say. We're almost outside. Just very quickly, I know this is yours again, Ella, but just in 30 seconds, tell us about this football team in the time.
The poor Vicky Park Rangers were due to play on the AstroTurf pitch at Stepney Green, and they got locked out by the boys. This girls' team who got locked out by the boys who were, laughing and jeering at them. It was an administrative mess up. But there is this row happening where you have, a certain amount of spaces, and the girls' team have to be allowed to play, but they're muscling in on the boys' territory, and so tensions and local pitches.
Hijinks. That's what I like about the hijinks. Ella, Candice, it's been good to see you both this morning.
Great, thank you
very much
Thanks.
Indeed.
Let's find out what the weather is doing for us all.